This story takes place in Indonesia during 2015. Panji works as a taxi driver and is struggling to make ends meet. His mother currently lives with him along with his wife, Rara, and infant son Hagi. But his mother is already suffering from dementia and has trouble remembering things, and also her own family. A chance encounter with a nurse at a high-end nursing home for the rich gave Panji the idea of admitting her mother there. However, Nurse Rit strongly recommends against it and instead begs him to take care of his mother like she has taken care of him when he's still a child. She also advises him to not ever admit his mother into this nursing home. But another nurse openly invites Panji's mother over after learning that his mother is a great cook. The nurse even tells him that they'll do it for free. Panji discusses this with Rara later that day, but she convinced him not to do it because it's very suspicious why they're doing everything for free, knowing full well that they are poor. They can just take care of her at their place. Panji starts playing with his lighter, which is a habit he does when anxious. But an unfortunate incident made them both change their minds. Panji's mother takes Hagi out for a stroll without their knowledge. She makes her way up the apartments and onto a balcony and sits young Hagi on a chair by the edge. Meanwhile, Panji and Rara are desperately trying to look for Hagi. The mother completely forgets about Hagi and eventually goes home, and Panji begs his mother for Hagi's location. After a short while, his mother remembered and Panji and Rara rushed over and barely manages to save their son. The very next day, Panji brings his mother at the nursing home to have a look, but while waiting he meets another man. He tells Panji that his place is creepy and that he's been trying to get in touch with his mother for a week now. He admits that he's a mechanic and his family also don't have much money, so it makes no sense for his mother, who is just a cleaner, to get accepted in such a facility strictly catered for the rich. Eventually, Nurse Rit comes out and the man asks her again if he can visit his mother. The nurse tells him to come back later this evening, which upsets the man. He warns Panji to bring his mother home instead. Panji's mother loved the place, especially the kitchen, and she can't wait to start working there. But Panji deceived his mother into thinking that she'll be working as a cook in the nursing home, but in reality he's planning to leave her there. The realization drives his mother into grief and begs Panji to take her back and apologized for what she did to Hagi earlier. But Panji has long made up his mind and tells his mother that she'll be well taken care of here instead of his place. He heartlessly drives away, leaving his mother crying out for him. Later that night, Panji returns to the nursing home to visit his mother. No one answered his call, so he let himself in. The place seems deserted with no nurse or even a single resident in sight, but as Panji explores further in, he hears a strange noise and the lights shut off. He opens the door and finds his mother on a table calling out to him. A butcher stands at her side and chops away her arm, yet his mother seems to be enjoying herself. His mother asks him why he abandoned her, and that's where Panji wakes up from the nightmare. He dresses up and tells Rara that he's taking his mother back home. Panji drives back to the nursing home and enters the door. The same creepy atmosphere greets him like in his nightmare. He goes further in and opens the same door from his dream, but it only turned out to be a normal room. Eventually, he stumbles upon the dining area and everyone is dressed in vintage-style clothing. They all stopped what they're doing and stare disturbingly at Panji until the nurse from earlier greets him. Panji explains that he made a mistake and wants to see his mother and bring her home, but the nurse condescendingly replied that it's normal for him to feel guilty during the first night. She added that sometimes people even see nightmares about their parents, in a mocking tone. He asks who those people are and the nurse tells him that they're the residents' children, and oftentimes they do parties. But Panji still insists on seeing his mother. The nurse tries to convince him to come back again next week since they did a lot of work just to calm her down earlier. This did the trick and Panji leaves. He gets in his cab and starts to drive away but changes his mind shortly. Panji walks back and gets in via an unlocked window. But the partygoers are heading back, so Panji looks for a room to hide in. Which unfortunately is also the very same room the person goes into. Panji hides in the closet and almost gets caught when his phone vibrated. However, the person got distracted by something else and proceeds to wear some kind of ceremonial robe. He then opens the closet door and steps inside a hidden door and disappears within it. Panji follows the man and finds himself in a dark corridor. He hears a sound in the next room and finds the mechanic from earlier chained to a bed. Panji tries to break him free, but the chains are too tough and a few cultists have entered the room. He barely managed to hide under the bed. The cultists then take the bed and bring it to a cavern filled with other people. The red light casts an eerie shade to the place. The cultists bring the mechanic to see his mother, who is standing in front of everyone. His mother asks him why he abandoned her, and the mechanic tells her that these people wouldn't let him see her. But then one of the cultists removes the curtain and reveals a twin of terrifying-looking monsters. The creatures hold the mechanic and his mother, while the cult leader explains that it's actually a gift for the mechanic's mother. What the creatures do is transfer a person's lifespan to another person. However, the life-giver must do so willingly. The mechanic resists the ceremony, so the leader calls upon the Whisperer. The Whisperer's job is to talk to the victim in a hypnotic way and convince them to let go. She tells the mechanic to be considerate to his mother, who gave up her youth just to take care of him. Also, if he still continue resist, then the ceremony will fail and they both turn into monsters. In the end, he lets go and gives his life to make his mother youthful again. All the leader expects in return is for her to serve the nursing home as a cleaner, her old profession, a service she's most delighted to give in exchange. Panji escapes but clumsily leaves his phone. It rings and the woman picks it up but accidentally takes a photo of the creatures. They squirm and cry out in pain. It seems they are sensitive to light. All the cultists then scramble to find the phone's owner. Panji, on the other hand, has already reached the door, but he needs a key to unlock it. He's starting to panic now, but he sees a lone cult member waiting for him. It's actually Nurse Rit, and she sets aside Panji and tells him the truth about this place. That the two creatures suck out the young and gives it to the elders to make them young again, but only between parents and their kids. Also, she doesn't know where they came from exactly, only that it was underground. And their breath is highly flammable. Panji's suspicions were correct, that the young people partying earlier were formerly the rich elderly residents with enough money to last 7 generations. But despite being rich, they still need poor people like Panji's mom to take care of their needs. Nurse Rit admits that she too is a servant and is already 103 years old, much to Panji's shock. She doesn't spend a day not regretting getting her youth back from her child. Then she tells him that the youth transfer will only work if the child is willing, otherwise they will both suffer a fate worse than death. They will transform into monsters called the Banished Ones. The nurse then gives Panji a key so he can escape. She also gives him her robe so the Banished Ones can't trace him since they are blind and rely heavily on smell. Panji asks why she's helping him, and Nurse Rit tearfully tells him that Panji looked like her son. After giving him direction to where his mother is, Panji sets off. He prowls the rooms while narrowly evading the creatures until he finds his mother. But she's still chained, so Panji looks around for the keys but instead encounters the Banished Ones. But Nurse Rit pushes Panji out of the way and saves him. Nurse Rit's sacrifice enabled Panji to free his mother and carry her out of there. But unfortunately, they were cornered by the cultists and taken back to the cavern. Panji begs the leader to let them go since he has a family to take care of, and he even promised to keep this place a secret and serve them forever. But the leader only wants Panji to give himself to his mother. Panji tells the leader that his mother wouldn't wish to harm him, but the leader replies that he'll be surprised how old people are willing to do anything just to get their youth back. And so the ceremony begins, and as usual, the creatures encounter resistance from Panji, and once again the Whisperer is called over to work her charm. She soothingly urges for Panji to let go and give new life to his mother, otherwise they will both turn into the Banished Ones. But Panji instead honored his mother and asks her if this is what she really wanted. His mother lovingly tells him to take care of Hagi, his son, and to leave this place. Panji, with renewed determination, takes out his lighter and burns the curtains and the creatures. The creatures scream out in pain and the cultists all scramble for safety. Panji tries to save his mother, but she orders him to go. The creatures blow into the fire, which ignites it even more and burns the whole place down. Panji manages to escape and drive away, leaving the nursing home in a massive inferno. And we've come to the end of our story. In most Asian cultures, it is an unwritten rule that the children will take care of their parents in their old age. It is considered as the highest honor a parent can receive from their children, and putting your parents in a nursing home is seen as taboo by society. This movie has sort of become a metaphor for this custom in a way. But do let us know in the comments below if you agree with this arrangement or not. And if you've reached this far, please give us a like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.